Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
Countdown. But if we're on, good morning. Welcome to Guerilla Sports Daily, Monday, November 18th, 2024. Happy to be with you guys today. What a sports weekend it was, guys. What an incredible sports weekend. Broncos roll, Buffs roll. Are we back? Okay. Hi, guys. We're going to start that over. Hi and hello and welcome to Guerilla Sports Daily. I'm Nate Jackson. Monday morning, a ton to get into. What a weekend in sports. What a weekend in Denver sports. Broncos roll, Buffs roll, right? Avs played, lost. Denver Nuggets lost yesterday. But so much was going on. None bigger than this event right here. That event right there. Did you guys watch the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight? Did you shed tears? If you grew up in the 80s and the 90s like I did, it was a sad spectacle. And one more example of how the internet age is just pooping all over our memories and caricaturizing and turning into a butt of a joke, a guy who was a legend back in the day. Mike Tyson, 58-year-old Mike Tyson, stepped in the ring with juiced up former YouTube star Jake Paul, who has turned boxing into an altogether different sport than I grew up with and that many of us watching here today grew up with. They aired it on Netflix. It almost crashed the site. And so, millions and millions of people got to watch a fight that was what happened to that fight? Was it fixed? Why was Mike Tyson biting his glove the whole time? What was going on there? Was he biting it because he's getting paid $10 million to throw the fight? Why are you biting your glove so much, Mike? And why are you not punching this guy? It was frustrating to watch a former hero of a lot of ours who grew up in that time be reduced to sort of a circus act who was unsteady on his feet and got beat up by that dork right there who has turned boxing into something other than the sweet science that it's supposed to be. But it was a spectacle, and I guess that Jake Paul train rolls on. Who's going to be his next opponent? We shall see. But let's get to the thing you guys really want to talk about today, and that's the Denver freaking Broncos. That's right. The 5-5 Denver Broncos hosted the first place Atlanta Falcons, who were 6-4 in their division yesterday. And Justin Simmons returned to Mile High City. You remember Justin Simmons left last year and signed with the Atlanta Falcons there, and he was in attendance with his family. He still calls Denver his home. He still loves being here. He wants to retire here and live here forever. He's so embedded in the community and so beloved in the community that it was quite an emotional departure for him, and I'm sure an emotional return, one in which he wanted to plant his flag and probably walk out of here with a victory. Also in attendance yesterday was the no-fly zone. The no-fly zone, that infamous secondary. You see those gentlemen right there yesterday at the game being flown in and being honored at the game. One of the best defenses in the history of the NFL and probably the best defense in the history of the Denver Broncos, honored yesterday in front of a lot of fans and the team that's trying to plant their flag as a defensive juggernaut with a pretty darn good defense themselves. And yes, the captain of that team, the sheriff himself, the mayor of Omaha, Peyton Manning, was also in attendance. But the pressure that the Broncos felt yesterday had nothing to do with the people that were there. It had to do with what was going on in their season, 5-5. Playoff aspirations, right? They got to win this game at home against the Atlanta Falcons, who are a pretty good team. Well, the Broncos showed up in a major way. But before I actually talk about the game itself, there was a lot to unpack in the advance of this game, right? Because last week against the Chiefs, their game ended in a bitter, bitter disappointment. Getting a kick blocked in the very last second when they had the undefeated Chiefs on the ropes and they were going to beat this team. And they didn't. Their heart was broken by it. Everybody had to accept that they came this close but weren't able to beat the big bad Chiefs. And so how would the Broncos respond? There were a lot of questions. How are the Broncos going to respond to such a loss? The Alex Forsythe, the guy who got run over and had the kick blocked over him, was raked over the coals all week by the media and by the fans. his team rallied around him. Bo Nix stood up at the podium and defended Alex Forsythe. Sean Payton stood up at the podium and defended Alex Forsythe, put it on the coaches. But the question was, how will a team respond? A young Broncos team respond to this difficult moment? And it was going to show a lot about who they had in that locker room. Was it made up of the right guys? And the answer was a resounding yes. The Broncos came out right off the bat and punched the Falcons in the mouth. They won the game 38-6, but it started with an opening touchdown, 9-play, 70-yard drive with a 12-yard pass to Nate Atkins. Nate Atkins, you love to see it. Tight end Nate Atkins. Jack of all trades, Nate Atkins, that guy right there, scored his first touchdown in the history of his football life a couple weeks ago. Hadn't ever scored a touchdown before in high school or college. Crazy to think of that. But Nate Atkins is a player who does everything for this team. He's a great special teams player. He can line up at fullback. He can block. He blocks his butt off. And he can catch the ball too. He got free on a really nifty play call there and was wide open. Almost walked into the end zone. Threw that ball up in the air and celebrated with his team to start off the game. Opening drive touchdown. Not easy to come by. And after that, really, the route was on. The Broncos scored touchdowns on 4 of their first 5 drives, went into halftime with a 21-6 lead, ended up winning 38-6. The Falcons didn't even score a touchdown. 2 field goals was all. This potent offense that we had talked about with the Falcons, Kirk Cousins, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Darnell Mooney, and Bijan Robinson, who's one of the most dynamic running backs in the league. These guys were putting up some points and moving the ball. They couldn't, though. They couldn't yesterday on this Broncos defense. Vance Joseph has them playing at a really high level. But I really want to talk about what is the biggest story of the day. The biggest story of the day, and that's our man, Bo Nix. That's right, Bo Nix, rookie quarterback, Bo Nix. The number 6 quarterback taken in the 2024 draft, Bo Nix. Do you remember the 5 quarterbacks ahead of Bo? Are any of those guys playing better than Bo right now? Caleb Williams went number 1 overall. Caleb Williams, a generational can't miss quarterback. He's missing a lot right now. Now it's not all his fault. The team has to be good around him. The coaching has to be good around him. But Caleb Williams isn't playing better than Bo Nix. The number 2 player taken, Jaden Daniels. There's a case to be made there that Jaden Daniels is playing better than Bo. I'd say not lately, though. Jaden Daniels had a really good first couple of months, but Bo has come on strong. And I think those two probably neck and neck for Rookie of the Year. Now the number 3 quarterback taken in the draft, Drake May. How's he going? Not better than Bo. Number 4 quarterback taken in the draft, J.J. McCarthy. How's he doing? Not better than Bo, but he's on injured reserve. How's Michael Penix doing? Because he was drafted ahead of Bo too. Well, we saw Michael Penix for a brief moment yesterday as he's backing up Kirk Cousins, and he went 2 of 4. Nothing special. Bo was the 6th quarterback taken in this draft, and a lot of folks didn't think he was very good. Let's be honest. There was a lot of criticism of this pick. Why would you want the number 6 quarterback taken? You just had to take whatever guy you wanted. And that's not the case. Sean Payton has zeroed in on Bo Nix from the jump, always wanted him and got his man, and Bo Nix is starting to round into form. Bo Nix yesterday had his very first 300-yard throwing performance. He went 28 of 33. Insane completion percentage, over 80%, 307 yards and 4 touchdowns and 0 interceptions for Mr. Bo Nix there. So statistically, an incredible performance. But when you look at it, start to look at it a little more critically, you see his game beginning to blossom in ways that, well, frankly, at the beginning of the season, it didn't. And, you know, there was an argument that Bo Nix should sit the first couple of games of the season. Don't play Bo. Let Jarrett Stidham start it off. Play the first 4 or 5 games, or maybe even all season. Let Bo learn behind old Stiddy, the old wily vet who's been around and can show Bo the ropes. There was an idea that you don't want to ruin Bo's confidence by getting smoked early. But what we're seeing now with Bo Nix is that this is a man who his confidence is not shaken very easily. He believes in his ability. He believes in the process that it takes to get better. He's not derailed by a bad throw or a bad game. And he's got the coaching around him that is allowing him to mature. Are the Broncos going to win the Super Bowl this year? Of course they are. But if they don't, it won't be the end of the world. And we're going to look back on 2024 as a time when a lot of our Broncos players started coming together and gelling. It's not really just about Bo. That 307-yard performance yesterday wasn't just about Bo's improvement, although he's improving in a lot of ways. In the pocket, dealing the ball down the middle of the field, tight windows, confident throws, understanding when to take chances, when to check it down, understanding when not to put the ball in a dangerous place. Bo is maturing right before our eyes, but so are these other players with him. I'm talking about Devon Vele. Devon Vele, number 17 for the Broncos, this gentleman right here. He's a rookie. He's an older rookie, and you could tell because he plays with a type of maturity and a type of presence that is rare in a rookie receiver. Every time they throw the ball to Devon Vele, he snags it. Sean Payton talked about Devon Vele yesterday. He talked about his 32-inch inseams on his pants, which means, because this guy's like 6'5", what he's talking about is that he doesn't play like a long-legged stork type of player. When I was in high school football, we had a player on our team named Jeremy. He had very long legs, and he was nicknamed the Stork. Not for a good reason, right? Devon Vele is not a stork. He's got shorter legs and a longer torso, really long arms, very good catch radius, incredibly strong hands, good field presence, and he's tough as hell. He's going to go across the middle, and he's not afraid to get hit. Have you ever heard of alligator arms? When you're going across the middle and you know there's someone about to hit you and you don't reach out for it, you do the little alligator arms or T-Rex arms. T-Rexes were not very good at receivers, okay? T-Rexes are better linebackers. But if you want to catch a football, you got to extend your arms, even though you're going to get hit, because you are going to get hit. And it hurts. They're going to hit you regardless. That's one thing you learn as a receiver. Whether you short arm it or go for it, you're going to get hit, so you might as well catch it. That guy, Devon Vele, once again, caught everything that was thrown to him. These games, Devon Vele, 5 targets, 4 catches. His catch-to-target ratio is among the best, I think, in the league, clearly on this team. He continues to catch everything that's thrown to him. I think his role is going to increase every game, and we got someone in Devon Vele. The guys I'm going to go over right now, keep in mind that we've been hearing chatter about trying to find a playmaker for Bo Nix. So we need to trade and get a number 1 receiver or number 1 this or number 1 that. My belief, guys, is that we have those guys on this team right now, and what you're seeing is a blossoming of a core of receivers that are young, hungry, and playing very well. And Bo Nix's maturation and the way he's playing has a lot to do with these guys coming into their own as well. So not just Devon Vele. How about Marvin Mims? How about Marvin Mims and the way he's emerged here in the last couple weeks? This is a guy that Sean Payton's just trying to find a way to get him involved. And he had prior to a couple weeks ago. You run him. Look, he's fast. He's fast. He's a great athlete. You see him in punt return. He gets the ball in his hand. He sticks his foot in the ground. He makes plays. How do we unlock that on offense? It's not always easy. And the things that they had done to try to do that weren't working. Just run him deep. Throw it to him deep. That wasn't working. But what Sean Payton has done is put him in the backfield and given him some opportunities to take some handoffs on some fly sweeps, go in motion, take some bubble screens. And it seems to have unlocked Marvin Mims. He had 2 receptions for 49 yards. He got in the end zone. He also had a couple carries there. 3 carries, 4 yards, no big deal. But the threat of Marvin Mims in the backfield is also doing things to defenses that are interesting because he looks like a running back. He's a receiver, so you set your defense based on the fact you got 3 receivers in the game, but then he lines up in the backfield and the motion and the things he's doing, the trickeration, the misdirection, the pre-snap, post-snap movement of Marvin Mims is creating some defensive confusion. And that's what you're always trying to do as an offense. You're trying to create defensive confusion. You're trying to get that defense to flow in a way that puts them out of position, and then you exploit the open spaces that they created by being tricked by your offense. Offensive play calling is like it's like a boxing match. Not Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, but actually more precise boxers. You can't, as a boxer, guard every bit of your body. If you're guarding your face, I hit your body, you drop your guard, I hit you in the face. Play calling's a lot like that. And Sean Payton was really in his bag yesterday when it comes to the play calling. He called an excellent game. He put these guys in great positions, and Marvin Mims is coming into his own, finding a role on this team, and defenses now have to account for all the things they're doing. And each week, you add a new wrinkle to what you've already done with these types of packages, right? So last week, you saw Marvin Mims in the backfield taking some fly sweeps. So now this week, you see Marvin Mims going in motion, not giving you the ball, doing play actions off of the runs you already saw. Now next week, assume they're going to add another wrinkle to the Marvin Mims package, the Mimsy package. I think they call him Mimsy. But Mimsy and Vele, not the only guys balling, not the only young players balling. Also, L.J. Humphrey. L.J. Humphrey got in the end zone on a really nice play as well. L.J. Humphrey finished 4 catches for 52 yards along with 41. That touchdown right there. And he also fumbled the ball, put it on the ground, recovered his own fumble. That's something that he's got to clean up. He's put the ball on the ground far too often. 3 fumbles in the last 4 games, and those 2, was it last 4, maybe the last 3? But he had a couple fumbles that were costly in opening drives. But just the fact that he's still in there getting these opportunities just shows you how much they believe in L.J. Humphrey. And for good reason. We see the ball, right? We follow the ball. Who catches the ball? What do they do with the ball? Bo's got the ball. He throws the ball. Who catches the ball? But all the movement of all the other bodies around the ball that we don't really watch when we watch the game determines who's on the field. Because not everyone can catch the ball every play. But you need guys who understand what you're trying to accomplish and can execute all the movements around the ball that allow the ball to move. What I mean by that is blocking. L.J. Humphrey is a great blocker. We run the football. We need our receivers blocking. When I got here as a young receiver in 2003, a lot of the guys in the locker room here had been members of the back-to-back Super Bowl teams with John Elway and Terrell Davis. Rod Smith's locker was right next to my locker. He was a receiver here. And the effort Rod and Ed McCaffrey put into the running game and instill into us young receivers let us understand how important it was to block downfield on runs, and not just on runs, on passes, on bubble screens, on short passes. If I'm hustling down the field to try to get a block, that's going to spring my buddy for more yards. The difference between a 5-yard carry for a running back and a 20, 30, 40-yard carry is oftentimes a receiver's block on either a safety or a corner. Rod Smith once told me that when his running back, TD, would get 100 yards rushing, or the 2,000-yard rushing season he got more pride in that than he did in his own catches, because he understood what went into it. Running the football and breaking tackles and moving the ball is about everyone doing their job. L.J. Humphrey does his job on the football field. That's why he's on the field. And the fact that he can catch the ball and run with it and break tackles just adds to his skill set and shows you why they like him so much. But, hey, not just L.J. Humphrey. Troy Franklin got in the end zone as well and seems to be coming into his own. There he is, scoring that touchdown on that little quick hit, smoke, bubble screen thing they did to him late in the game. The Broncos were 4-4-4 in the red zone, guys. They scored a touchdown every time they got in the red zone. That's some incredible stuff right there, and it's something that the Broncos haven't been good at in years past, red zone offense, putting the ball in the end zone. They did it every time they got there yesterday, and in large part it was because of plays like that where these guys were blocking. I just mentioned blocking downfield. When you take a bubble screen, you have lead blockers, guys blocking in front of you. Those guys are getting the job done. And it takes effort to do that. It takes everyone buying in. Speaking of effort, another guy who got in the end zone yesterday, Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams was the lead back in this game. 9 carries for 59 yards. Looked like he had his burst back. Oh, Javonte had also 4 catches for 28 yards. A really good game for Javonte. This is after last week. Audric Estime got the lion's share of the carries. So much so that everyone thought Audric Estime is about to have his coming out party, myself included. I thought Audric Estime was about to be the guy. And no, he's not. He's a rookie. Take a seat, Audric. Javonte's job is safe for now. I love that about Sean Payton. He doesn't abandon his guys. He believes in the guys he has in this locker room. And because of a bad game, you're not going to get benched. Because of a mistake, You're not going to get benched. I'm not going to cut you. What I'm going to do is empower you to be better next time. I'm going to put you in a position again to do the thing, but I'm going to give you the tools you need to succeed, and I'm going to tell you I believe in you, and I'm going to give you another shot. Sean Payton has been coaching for a long time. 16 years in New Orleans, 1.5 here in Denver. That's a lot of experience that he's had. He's seen every situation, every high and every low. He's had big blowout losses. He's had close, heartbreaking losses. He's had blowout wins. He's had close wins, nail-biter wins. He's been to the playoffs. He's been to the Super Bowl. He's had losing seasons. He's had seasons where he was the best offense in the league. And so he understands how to respond to any particular game. And I really, appreciate the way he responded to their loss last week and the position he put these guys in to bounce back. They clearly responded to the coaching, to the message that he put forth in that game. I'd be remiss. Well, I do want to talk real quick about that Javonte Williams touchdown. He was stopped about 5 yards short. I was standing right there as the NFL's uniform inspector. Okay, I have a clipboard in my hand, and I'm watching these players and making sure they're not violating. Javonte Williams was stopped about 5 yards from the end zone, and really indicative of the way that this team operates and how they feel about each other. He was picked up by everybody on the team and carried into the end zone for a touchdown. I think his feet were off the ground, and his buddies, including L.J. Humphrey there, and some offensive linemen pushed him into the end zone for a touchdown. They quite literally have Javonte's back and want each other to succeed, getting excited for each other. Nate Atkins scoring. He's not a scoring machine, but he scored. All the guys that scoring touchdowns and everybody celebrating with him, it was really cool to see that. But it's not all about the offense and the 38 points. I do want to talk about this Broncos defense. That's right, this Denver Broncos defense, which is really only had one bad game this season, and it was against the Baltimore Ravens. They played really well against the Chiefs last week, and they held this Falcons offense, which is a very potent offense, to only 6 points, 2 field goals, and they were both in the first half. The Falcons didn't even sniff scoring position in the second half, okay? Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator of the Broncos, is dialing it up right now and has these guys playing at a very high level. They've suffered some injuries. Brandon Jones didn't play yesterday. Devon Key stepped in and played really well. You didn't even notice that Brandon Jones wasn't out there. Brandon Jones, of course, Justin Simmons' replacement. Alex Singleton went down early in the season. Cody Barton playing at a high level and had an interception yesterday. But I think probably, and Zach Allen continues to play at a high level. And Zach Allen has been talked about a lot this year, as because rightly so. He's, I think, 3rd in the NFL in pressures on the quarterback. But really, the guy who's playing the best, in my opinion, right now, Nick Bonitto. Let's talk for a second about Nick freaking Bonitto. There he is right there, Nick. Nick Bonitto, 2 sacks yesterday, okay? 2 tackles for losses and 2 quarterback hits. He was everywhere, Nick Bonitto. This guy, man, look, he had a sort of a rough rookie year. He's a little bit undersized for his position. He's put on a little weight, and now he's developed an arsenal and a repertoire of moves, and he's playing with a type of juice and intensity and passion and confidence coming off the edge and really disrupting the action in the backfield with regularity. I mean, he's getting more snaps. He's more involved, and he's becoming a menace in this league. He's approaching double-digit sacks. The Broncos have not had a double-digit sacker in 6 years. Now, part of the reason why is because the offense has been so bad. And when you're always behind, you can't pin your ears back as a defense and attack because the other team is playing it safe and running out the ball. Well, yesterday, and in some of these games, the Broncos have a lead. So they're going to be throwing. So you can pin your ears back like Nick Bonitto has been and attack. Nick Bonitto is playing at a high level, but he's not the only one. Jonathan Cooper, Jonathan Franklin Myers, this entire defense, PS2, Riley Moss, Jaquan McMillian led the team in tackles yesterday. These guys are playing together, believing in what they're doing. And, of course, Vance Joseph keeps coaching like this. He's going to get another shot at head coach. I hope he sticks around. I hope Vance Joseph doesn't go anywhere because they're building something special here. And one of the crappy things about being a good team or a good unit is that you have one good season and another team tries to poach you. Well, Vance Joseph was the head coach here, 5 or 6 years ago, and it didn't work out, and so he left and bounced around, and now he's back as the defensive coordinator. And I want him to stay here for a while, Vance. Stay here for a while. Build a special unit. Let's win a couple Super Bowls like the Chiefs did with Spags. Steve Spagnuolo, the defense coordinator of the Chiefs, was a head coach at a certain time, didn't work out, and now he's been a defensive coordinator there for quite a while, and they're able to develop the type of continuity that's allowing them to be good year in and year out. It's good as a player to know what to expect, the system, the terminology, the coaching style, the way meetings go, the way they coach you up, all that stuff. When you switch coaches, it's hard for a player to catch his bearings there. And this guy, Vance Joseph, has them playing maybe better than any other defense in the NFL right now, if you think about it. That one bad game against the Ravens, other than that, these guys are playing very, very well. And so the Broncos win 38-6 at home in front of a really happy, excited crowd. The Broncos seem to be back, and Broncos offensive football is back. We've come to expect touchdowns when we go to Broncos games, and that's exactly what we got yesterday. The Broncos are now 6-5 going into this week, playing the Raiders in Vegas, a divisional game that they cannot overlook no matter how bad the Raiders are. They got to find a way to win this and keep this thing going, because there's some games on the back end of this schedule that are going to be pretty tough. You got the Bengals in Cincinnati. Even though they keep losing, they're going to be mad, and they're a good team. They're not finding ways to win, but they're a good team. You're going to have to play the Chiefs in the last game of the season here. That's going to be an exciting game. You're going to have to play the Colts here. Right now, the Broncos and the Colts, both 6-5, both in the playoff hunt. They have the Browns as well, but you also got to play the Chargers, and the Chargers are surging. The Chargers, who I'd hoped would suck, don't at all. They're actually pretty darn good under Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh seems to have found the message that this team is thriving on, and they're playing very well. They won big yesterday, and so the Broncos are going to have to go to L.A. and beat the Chargers. Chargers are playing well. So it takes it one game at a time. And I imagine Sean Payton's going to know exactly what to say to this team today and in this week to follow to get them to play well against the Raiders. But the Broncos roll 38-6 over the Falcons, and we can all rejoice. But that's not all that happened in sports this weekend in Denver sports. The CU Buffs continue to roll 49-24 against Utah. They're 8-2 now. The Buffs are 8-2. Last year at this time, they were in the middle of a losing streak. They started off 3 wins in a row and then lost 8 of 9. And in that offseason, got a new defensive coordinator, a new offensive coordinator. A lot of folks, myself included, did not expect the CU Buffs to be as good as they are today. But they are that good. They are playing sound football. Coach Prime has turned this into a complete football team that believes in one another and absolutely smoked Utah 49-24. Travis Hunter continues to make plays out there on both sides and make his case for the Heisman. It's going to be interesting to see how these Heisman voters vote. Nobody like Travis Hunter has ever come through college football before and done things the way he's doing it. But the Buffs continue to win. People can't ignore it. And so clearly, I think he's the odds-on favorite to win it right now, but you're putting it in the laps of these Heisman voters, and let's hope that they do it the right way, because it is supposed to go to the best college football player in the country. Travis Hunter has proven that week in and week out that he is that. But also, Shedeur Sanders should be probably at the Heisman conversation as well. I know he's really not for some reason, but 30 of 41, 340 yards, 3 touchdowns, leading this improbable journey this season has the Buffs on track for a Big 12 championship game and maybe even college football playoff glory. We shall see how that goes. The Denver Nuggets lost by 15 yesterday to the Memphis Grizzlies. No Nikola Jokic in Memphis, so hopefully the Denver Nuggets can bounce back from that. But you just see what it's like without your leader out there. Nikola Jokic is that valuable. He is that good, and we hope that he's back soon. And the Avs, long-awaited return of Val Nichushkin, Jonathan Drouin, and Miles Wood fell kind of flat. Something of a dud. They lost 5-2. A lot of times these players are good, but when we're not playing together and we haven't been together in a while, it just takes a while to get back moving again. Val's been out for a long time. He's been through a lot. It's going to take a little bit to get him back moving in the right way and having these guys on the same page. But you imagine that's going to happen. It's just going to take a few games to get the kinks out, right? To get the kinks out. But an exciting weekend of sports capped off by the Broncos dominating the Falcons 38-6 at home. And the Broncos are 6-5 and controlling their own destiny in the playoffs. You also control your own destiny today and all week long. I hope you have your coffee. I hope you have some protein in you. Hope you got some sleep. Don't forget to drink your water. Don't forget to be nice to your friends. Don't forget to call your mother. I'm Nate Jackson. This is Guerilla Sports Daily. See you guys next time. Later.